Alright, update on JASMY. I'm going to make this a quick one because, like I've been talking about for the past week, we're really just trading sideways and slightly to the downside while we're waiting for this Fed meeting to get rid of and done with. So I'm going to talk about when the Fed meeting finishes. I'm going to talk about what price targets we need to keep our eyes on in the short term for JASMY to make sure that we're not going to landslide before we have a chance of recovery. So starting off, let's start off with the daily. Now, if we look at your momentum indicators, we really need to start reversing ASAP. We're already starting to push bearish on this squeeze momentum indicator down here. You can see the past 2 days has pretty much just been selling volume as we've been kind of chopping around and lollygagging around this absolute low range. And you know, this box is marked green for support because this really is your last line of support. Once you take out this floor at basically 1.7 cent, there is really nothing to come down to other than the 1 cent region, which is literally the floor. I mean, we've been lower than there once before, so I mean, if on the downside of things, we are technically very slowly at a snail's pace over, like, what was this, like a year? Yeah, I mean, this is coming on for a year. Like, in the past year, JASMY has managed to move. Oh, I mean, to be fair, it's a decent amount. It just looks small on this, but yeah, I mean, we're really chopping up very slowly to the upside. But then, you know, you zoom out and you see JASMY is really in a very harsh freefall. This is one of the reasons why I wouldn't want to hold JASMY for the long term. It really is just a short-term trade for me. Along with the tokenomics, I mean, if you go, I can't remember what website it is. I think it's Etherscan. You can check out the supply of JASMY. You can check out, you know, what hands hold what percentage of the supply on JASMY. You can check out the whale wallets, what they're doing, etc. over on Etherscan. I definitely recommend doing that. Or you can go on my channel and type in JASMY token supply. I've already done a video, a full in-depth video on the entire token supply and everything I think about that, so I won't go into too much depth on it in this video. But yeah, like I said, past 12 hours, there's a lot of selling volume coming in. We are emming out. This is very unfortunate. You can see these M patterns here, and depending on how you want to draw them, because I mean, we came down and went back up for a higher low, so you could draw it as an M like that, and then you could also draw this as an M, and then you can see lower time frames. We're emming out below this neckline here, which we've already broken below. So like I said, coming into the Fed meeting should be done on the 4th. And I say should be done, I reckon between the 4th and the 5th we'll have this all wrapped up. I think more towards the 4th. So I'd probably say give it another 24 hours, 48 hours at most, and we should be out of this for the Fed meetings. Now, my opinion is personally that confidence has exited the markets, specifically the crypto markets, but also the stock market in the past week or so, since, you know, since the Fed meeting has basically been coming in. You can see Bitcoin, if we zoom out, Bitcoin's been having this huge move to the downside in the past week. It's really just sideways, choppy accumulation. I take that back. It's not been huge. I just couldn't think of another word. We've just been having very mundane, boring, sideways, choppy action like this to the side. And this is because of the Fed meetings. I've been in crypto for a while. Fear always ensues, at least in the past year, when all these Fed meetings come in. I mean, everyone seems to care about these Fed meetings right now. It used to take, you know, much of a smaller effect, but nowadays every crypto trader is an economist. They want to see what's going on in the Federal Reserve meeting. They want to see, are we increasing inflation again? Are we going to be talking about, you know, this same quantitative easing that we've been doing for the past year or two? Or are we finally going to try and switch things around and increase the interest rates, which would be very diabolical for the crypto market. If the Fed decides that they're going to very quickly start hammering in these interest rates, then a lot of these cryptos which are built on cheap money, printed money, are going to start to collapse. So I do think JASMY is not necessarily the greatest long-term project. I've said this quite a few times. However, I will say this, it is very good to trade in the shorter time frames if you can catch a momentum shift, and that's why we're looking at the charts. We're looking and trying to find that next key area where we could enter in a bullish trade, we can catch the next momentum shift, and we can get out before we inevitably put in a lower high, probably, because you know, the market structure is just filled, riddled with lower highs. And I guess the signs were there all along. When we had this rally up here, I had my eye on higher price targets, and I kind of was, I guess, I wanted to be in a trade that would go higher, so I kind of discounted, or at least at the moment in time, I didn't really register that we'd come up, we'd put in a lower high, we'd got multiple rejections from your daily EMA ribbons, and not only that, you got rejected from your 618 fib, at which point I really should have realized we were heading back down. Obviously we came back down, I got stopped out of my trade, we entered down here. It wasn't a 15%, no, I must have drawn this wrong, so we actually must have entered here because it was 7%, so yeah, we jumped in here, we got stopped out in a 7% profit when we did come sliding back down to the downside, and now I don't hold JASMY. I'm much more able to look at this from a completely unbiased, objective perspective, and it doesn't look good right now, but keep in mind, as long as we do not break below this floor at 1.7 cent, then we'll be all good. So like I said, coming into the Fed meeting, it's going to be choppy, boring price action. I talked about this, and I drew something like this on a lot of my charts, and it seems that we've done exactly that. You know, we've just got chop. It's sideways chop. It's designed to chop you out the market. Everyone's getting fearful right now. Wait until the Fed meeting's done. In the short term, you're not going to miss out on anything. We're below your 4-hourly EMA ribbons. If we do rally out of these after the Fed meeting is done, I will be the first to update you when we are flipping bullish. Until that happens, I will be vigilant. I'll be sitting on the sidelines, keeping an eye on the JASMY price. Like I said, I'll be the first to let you know when something happens, but lower time frames, bears are starting to grasp the momentum out of the dying bull's hands. Not looking good what we're seeing right now. I would definitely be sitting on the sidelines for JASMY. I personally do not hold any JASMY. I'm not in a JASMY trade. I am looking to potentially buy if the markets do have a confidence return, but you know, like I said, in my opinion, that's not going to happen until the Fed meeting's done. That is all I've got for you today. Like I said, I will be the first to update you after the Fed meeting is done. I'll be the first to check out what is going on with JASMY, how the market's reacting. For example, if they're going to talk about, you know, keeping on their foot on the money printer, then I think we will keep on rallying. If they say, look, we really need to sort out this inflation before we go into a recession, let's increase the interest rates today, like literally today, they could say that, we'll increase them today, then you could see a huge flush out to the downside in not just JASMY, but the crypto markets, the stock markets, and pretty much every other market apart from the US dollar will probably do terrible on that news. That is all I've got for JASMY. As always, none of this is financial advice. It's going to be chop season for the next couple of days. Be patient. Another 24 hours till the Fed meeting. I will update you. That's all I've got. Cowboy out, not financial advice. And as always, peace.